What's up, everybody? It's Chad. I'm back again with another episode, but we're doing this episode again.
Round two.
Round two. Ask Chad Grassy Logic with my homie Doug Dalton of Lumbre. Thank you for driving down a second time again, buddy. Yeah. First time we had some audio issues. This time we got it figured out, and so
it was my fault.
Yeah, Gino back there, he took the blame. So thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. So we're doing this episode again, and we're here again with my friend Doug from Alamogordo of ellumbrefarms. Actually, it's in Tularosa and La Luz. You're kind of scattered around the whole Tularosa basin, huh?
Yeah. Our dispensary is going up on Highway 82.
Okay.
On the way to Cloudcroft. So that's future us coming.
Yeah.
And then the farm itself is located in Tularosa.
Dope.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hop into the the business and everything in a second. Let's get to know Doug a little bit. I grew up with you. You and your brother. We played sports together. Football.
Yep.
Actually, the first year I was on the Broncos with you was my very first year of football ever.
Yeah.
And so it was,
we're a good team too, right?
Yeah. Went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, went to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
We lost in the Super Bowl, but that's all right. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were part of a lot of good teams. Growing up and stuff. And competitiveness was good for us.
Really was. And I pitched alongside with your brother, during baseball and everything, and he's very competitive. Him and I would get clocked at the same speed and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dave's something else, man. He's a big junk pitcher.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed doing that, so good.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, it was. And yeah, he was a junk pitcher. I remember him and I would talk about it, and he'd be like, "Oh, I got this new thing, whatever." And he would, when he would throw it, and it was funny when he would throw, for some reason his head would go straight up in the air, and he'd remind me of Snoopy dancing.
Yeah.
When he did that, and it was freaking hilarious. But he was a great pitcher. I remember him and I would more or less be on the relief side, than the starting side, which I loved relief pitching.
Right.
I don't know why. You just get that intensity of okay, game's on the line sometimes.
Finish it. Right?
Yeah. They're calling on you to finish it, kind of thing. Yeah,
Absolutely.
The other dude got tired, whatever. But yeah, it was a fun experience, and I'm happy and honored to know both of you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Throughout all these years.
Yeah, we're kind of local friends of everybody, if you will. You know what I mean? And it's been cool growing up in Otero County. It's an awesome place. Some really good people there, and then too it incorporates Tularosa, La Luz, Alamogordo, Cloudcroft. It's a real big county. So we get a variety of mountaintop people all the way down to just good old folks down there in town. So it's pretty unique.
Yeah, it is. And of course, military town on top of it.
Absolutely.
You get the diversity of different people from all over.
Yeah, we grew up with all kinds of different people,
I'm learning that now.
Really neat. The more you get culture, like you go to Georgia and it's very segregated still, and you go to Alamogordo, it's like everybody's everybody. You got Germans, Asians, Italians, you get a mix of everybody. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, then you have some of the remnants of the Buffalo Soldier families that have been lived in Alamogordo for decades upon hundreds of years, whatever. So you have that too, that rich culture that we have with it. And I'm learning now that living here in Cruces that it's not as diverse here as it is like in Alamogordo. Because I'm like, I grew up with German food. I grew up with Filipino food. I grew up with all kinds of different foods. Thai food.
Yes,
oh
absolutely.
God, yeah. So,
Thai food, right?
and like growing up, you don't really realize it's a different cuisine that you're eating. You just realize you're eating something amazing. And you realize you don't have it that often. And then when you get older, you're like, oh, that's why, culture. Okay. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And, speaking of great people, Doug was one of two people, it was a total of three of us that went to Santa Fe to, fight the state on trying to close drive-throughs.
Yes.
And, that was so awesome to have you up there, man.
It was an eye-opening experience, if anything. I can say that in the cannabis industry, we need to be following this guy wherever he goes. It's the politics that are involved with this is huge, and essentially our lives are in their hands. And a lot of them aren't educated enough to know, in my opinion, to make the decisions that they're making. So for us to be able to get in and get involved and talk to these people and tell them that, hey, cannabis isn't alcohol. You need to get us out of that taboo, and it's been that way for a while now. And just like the drive-through dispensaries, for example, we're trying to get medicine to people that don't want to get out of their cars. We want to get medicine to people that aren't maybe able to get out of their cars. And for us to take that away would be the same thing as taking away the Walgreens for doing oxycodone, Tylenol 5 or anything like that. So we got to be involved in the politics of this because they don't know, and for us to be able to persuade the people that we did while we were there, that was scary. It really was.
It's a little intimidating.
It was, and watching the hands, yay, nay, the whole way through that. The process you know, we have to be there. Instead of 3 or 4 of us, it's got to be 100 of us.
Yeah.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, every cannabis owner, if you're in the business, you need to be down. Anytime they're doing new legislation, we need to bombard these people with 20 or 40 people, telling them, hey, that this is what we believe in,
Yeah.
and this is what we need to see. You know, I mean, the drive-throughs could have shut down potentially quite a few businesses in the state, you know, including mine.
Yeah, and the one we're sitting in right now, you know, Monster House, you know,
Absolutely,
you know, and you guys know we're in a new location, so you know we're at Monster House, and you know they allowed us to use the consumption lounge. So yeah, they have a drive-through as well, and they would have had to shut it down as well too.
Yeah.
So you know, and you know, there's a few people that have actually thanked me, you know, and the whole group for going up there.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't asking or wanting a thank. I just wanted us to save the freaking drive-throughs.
Right. I mean, you told me the day prior to you going.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, and you had some family stuff going on too. Oh man.
Yeah. My mom wasn't doing too well at the time, and it was just
glad she pulled out, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, you know, big decisions now because of
that,
which is good. You know, but the necessity for me to be there was huge.
Yeah.
And then once I got there, I realized, holy crap, like I really needed to be there.
Yeah.
And along with all of us.
Yeah.
You know, so definitely a big eye opener. Realizing that, you know, as far as becoming a business owner, you think, okay, all I got to focus on is the business part of it. Well, that's not just it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of outside influence that goes on with this, including the politics, the bills, the laws.
Yeah.
I mean, those essentially make or break a lot of companies, and so we got to be involved. You know, and I really appreciate you for everything that you do and keeping us updated. But you know, give me a little more heads up on when we got to go up, and that way, you know, we can book some hotel rooms. And you know, I think we need to make a thing of it. You know, I know you're doing your monthly meetings and stuff, and I like that. But to where, you know, when we do go up, we all go to the same restaurant. We all, you know, talk together about what we need to talk to these people about, and you know, just become kind of like a political collective on making sure we can influence the politics on our stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
But you know, unfortunate thing about the politics thing is sometimes they will put it on the schedule without notice.
Absolutely.
So, and that's in the case of this, that's exactly what happened. I got a call from Jeffrey that afternoon. He was like, hey, you know, I saw I got put on for tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. I want to go up. You want to go up? I was like, I do, but this and that. And then I talked to you, and you're like, yeah, I want to go. And I was like, all right, I got some troops. Let's go. And so, you know, we go up, you know, we stay the night. I think you went up the morning of, right? Yeah, you went early morning.
Yeah.
So, you know, Jeffrey and I, we stayed the night. We went up to Albuquerque. We got there probably midnight, you know, almost midnight. We didn't sleep very much. Right. So we took a little nap, woke up, met you guys over at the Roundhouse, because here in New Mexico, you guys have, it's a confusing. That thing's confusing.
I got on the parking lot and I looked around, and Chad's like, oh yeah, go to the round building. I'm like, oh, there's so many buildings.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. And then the entrances, the roundhouse has got, I think, 2, the east and west entrance. Right?
And they look exactly the same.
They do.
Which, you know, so if you guys don't know, New Mexico is the only state capital where our building is literally round. And it's cool. Yeah, really cool.
Go see it.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance. Yeah, it's your building. And, you know, they tell you that, you know, this is your building.
Yeah, they got food.
Yep.
They give it to you, you know, all kinds of good stuff. You know?
Yeah,
so For us, it's good. You know, smoke a little bit prior and go in there, get your munchies on, and do some politics.
Yeah,
It's a good place.
And our politicians, they want to talk to us. You know, like we were walking around, we were looking for some senators. I ran into one of them and had to chase her down and everything. I left these guys in my dust, and they were kind of confused. But it's something that you have to do when you're talking to these representatives. You have to get them when you can. Yep. And we went by her office. She wasn't there, but luckily we ran into her in the hall. She invited us. We all went and sat down. You know, that's when we got some snacks and some goodies. And you're like,
she was the one that kind of got us started with everything.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
So that was good. She told us which ones we needed to go to, who were on the fence.
And
you know, we were able to persuade enough people to get the vote. I mean, we only won by, I think, one vote. You know, so just to get those, you know, 2 or 3 votes back on our side was huge.
It was.
And you know, that was the deal. Like with that one senator, was to convince her that this is more medicine than it is anything else. You know, and that's what we got to push on our side. You know, we're helping people.
And in this coming next legislative session, we're going to be dealing with different politicians now. That one that saved it, she's actually not going to be running it this time. Right. And then we have a bunch of Republicans that actually retired. So we have no clue who's going to replace them.
Right.
So we're not too sure what we're up against this next legislative session. So keep an eye out, guys. I'm worried myself because the drive-through thing isn't going to go away. They're going to keep pushing and pushing until either they win or we could just definitively tell them that, you know, this is dumb. There's really no reason to do this. Because to be honest, with cannabis, there is no reason to do this at all. With alcohol, okay, maybe, you know, alcohol is an issue here in the state, you know, and El Paso too. If you guys haven't paid attention to certain social media pages online, you'll see that they go through, you know, drunk driving incidents daily almost down there.
Right.
And, you know, it's sad. In New Mexico, we have a drinking problem too. You know, we're no different.
Absolutely.
Just luckily our drunk driving incidents aren't as severe as El Paso's. They still happen. But nothing like I see down there. You know, it's bad.
It's a disease, you know, and so, you know, I think most of us, majority of us, know the difference between pot and alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, you're not going to wake up the next day hungover and puking, and you're not going to punch your best friend and, you know, all those kind of things while you're on cannabis. So, you know, we've got to get out of that mentality. Got to get out of that taboo. They are not in the same category, and we need to keep them out of the same category. You know, this is a plant harvested from the ground, essentially like your vegetable, right to your hands.
Yeah.
You know, alcohol, we're processing it.
Yeah.
You know, we're having to do things to it in order to make it to where it's at. So, you know, let's just leave it alone.
Yeah, exactly. You know, with us, it's don't get me wrong, fermentation is a natural process, but the way that we do it with alcohol, you know, it's not much of a natural process. We're inducing a lot. We're doing a lot of things to it to make it a lot of sugars. Yeah, a lot of sugars. You know, preservatives on top of it. You know, that go into it after it's made and all that. So, you know, it's not healthy. You know, you're really putting poison in your body. And so I'm glad to see the statistics of, you know, now Americans are using cannabis more than they are alcohol. And that warmed my heart.
Oh, awesome.
That warmed my veteran heart so much.
It's awesome. It's awesome to watch. You know, I've actually quit alcohol myself.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
good job.
You too. And you know,
all three of us. Hell yeah.
Wonderful. I think everybody's waking up. You know, it's the same thing with our farm. You know, we want to produce good food. We want to produce good product. And the way to do that is through natural processes. Yeah. You know, if you want to grow it hydroponically, which I'm not knocking the hydro guys, I'm not knocking the salt guys. Please, there's so many ways to grow the plant. Yeah. You know, and everybody's got their own ways. But you know, to me, I want the way that I can, I guess, shuffle it around is you got two different cows, right? You got a PBR bull, and you got a grass-fed steer, same age. But the PBR bull has got the genetics of a pumped-up bull. Mm-hmm. It's got steroids. We pump it up with all kinds of aggressive things to make it very, very mean and big and buff and beautiful, right? Well, that's the same thing that I see in a pot plant. You know, if I see a plant that's got really dark green leaves and it's just this big, giant monster, well, how was it grown? Was it grown with salts? Was it grown with, you know, what kind of mediums was it grown? Now, me as a choice, I would rather eat the grass-fed steer that's been organically grown versus eating the PBR bull, right? Yeah. So that's the way we view our plants as well. You know, we feed them good things that we view the soil would enjoy and the plant would enjoy, and we don't end up with quite the huge harvest that most people do, but our testing is wonderful. Yeah. You know, terpene profiles are out the charts. Yeah. You know, our THC levels are higher than most of the indoor plants that we're running against. Yeah. You know, so it's cool kind of seeing the natural way go.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get onto your growing. You know, I wanted to say that I am a little worried about the way that certain cannabis plants are being grown, you know, because I look at them and it looks very unnatural for the plant. And that worries me. That breaks my heart. You know, I see these gorgeous plants and I'm like, God, look at that bud. But I'm like, I know what went in it to make it look that way. Sure. That's what breaks my heart. I mean, it looks gorgeous, but I know that's not a natural look for that plant, you know?
It's one of those deals, you know, I mean, if you're going to grow inside, you're not dealing with the sun, right? Which is the best light that you can get. You know, I don't care what lab scientist tries to create a light. He's not going to be able to do the UV spectrum that a sun can do for a plant. Yeah. So with that, you have to combat that. And so you have to pump up your plants a little bit. You have to give them more nitrogen, more phosphorus, more magnesium, you know, just really, really pump them up more than you would have to on an outdoor environment because it's got everything naturally there provided for it. And so it's one of those you have to, in order to produce the levels that you need, in order to get the yields that you need to justify the overhead, right? Yeah. Overhead on an indoor operation is very expensive. Yeah.
If you guys don't know, indoors cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to just set up even a small one.
Overhead's everything. I mean, it's the nature of the business, right? So that's why we're seeing businesses survive and not, okay? A lot of people got in thinking the green rush was going to last a long time. And if you were smart about it, you knew it wasn't. Yeah. So marketing yourself to set yourself up to survive in this, right? Yeah. So
because the $3,000 pounds only lasted a few months.
A few months and it was gone.
It was 2-3 months.
Right. And the testing still stayed the same. Right. So, you know, whenever you start looking at your power bill, your rent, your water, everything, it adds up very fast. You know, and your employment.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. You want to make sure that you're paying your people.
Yeah.
And that was a hard thing for me too.
Yeah.
You know, realizing that you got to have insurance, you got to pay your taxes, you got all this stuff. I mean, it's a lot. And
Yeah.
it adds up real quick. So I think overhead on the indoor operations are tough.
Yeah.
And to the guys that do it and are able to be successful in it, man, I give them mucho kudos, because you got so many things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you get one guy walking in there with a mite on his shoe from his outdoor grow or something like that, and now you guys find mites in your entire operation.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with powdery mildew, with aphids. I mean, there's all kinds of things that this state has that would love to eat every little green thing that's inside that room or building.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why our overhead, I've done indoor, and we did real well. We grew some wonderful smoke out of it. But, you know, we started looking at, okay, it's a $1,500 a month power bill just to run that operation.
Yeah. Top of water.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So time in, man hours, we could have used that particular area for vegetative space and grown a bunch of more plants outside.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Dehues, all that, the whole 9 yards.
I've got the Quest dehues. I've got a wonderful indoor setup.
Yeah.
And we utilize it right now for our vegetative space, because we're, you know, our plant count increased and we needed to really max out on culls.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, and we'll chase indoor again, you know, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It is. Overhead on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, at least you're at least utilizing that space, you know, and, you know, it's not being put to waste. Because, I mean, when you increase that plant count, you need that mother space.
Yeah, it's multifunction. It's kind of cool how we set everything up. So the rooms, we're actually able to use vegetative space. We're able to use them for harvest rooms as well.
Okay.
So they got the Quest Hueys, they've got the mini split systems, and we'll hang the netting up, and we're able to dry slope.
Yeah.
And I think that's a part that a lot of guys don't do, is they rush the drying process.
Yeah.
And they got to realize that this is like fine wine. Right?
Yeah.
You're trying to grow something that you want to last on the shelf for a long time. And the way to do that is to make sure that the oils retain in the smoke. And the only way to do that is to dry slow, right?
Yeah.
So we do a 60 on 60 for the first 5 days, and that's 60% humidity with 60 degrees. And then we start tearing off with RH, you know, down to 50, down to 40. And I'm able to get anywhere between a 14 to 16 day dry.
Wow.
Before we buck it down and put it into the buckets. And it's still moist, you know, snapping the twigs just right. You know, kind of deal. And if you're able to do that, you retain your flavor, your smell, you know, moisture content stays in there a little bit better for your testing. And just better smoke. So it's craft cannabis for a reason.
Yeah.
You take your time.
Yeah.
You gotta take your time, even though you want to rush it. You know, you gotta get it out, gotta get it tested, gotta get the next batch in. But you know, if you do that, then you start getting the phone calls. Hey, your smoke tastes like hay.
Yeah, or it tastes like chlorophyll.
You dried it in 5 days.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what do you expect to happen? You know, all the good stuff evaporated off with the water.
And you got the guys that wet trim, you know, on top of that. And that, if y'all don't know, if you wet trim, all the chlorophyll that's still within the plant is going to get all over your flower and your bud, and it's just going to cover it. And then the taste that you once would have is now compromised, and you have a chlorophyll-y taste. And most of those guys, they dry them quick as well. So then you're going to end up with a chlorophyll hay flavor, and it's just not going to be a good experience.
And it's always a battle too. You know, you got wet trimmers versus dry trimmers.
Yeah.
Right? And if you were to put it on there, 50% it's going to be 50-50.
Yeah.
You know, on what they agree with. So, you know, that's the deal. Everybody has their own process.
Yeah.
You know, and mine, I like to go slow.
Yeah.
You know,
Me too.
To me, the slower the better.
Yeah, me too. It feels like it preserves things a little bit better, you know, and it's just slower, and you can even smell it. You know, you smell it more. You smell it. It's more pungent, you know, of a smell than versus the other. Because I've done it both ways.
You got some strains that are weird. You know, they'll get their full accent about a month into the cure. You know, they got kind of a green smell, and then a month later that funk and you know the sweet comes through, and it's kind of cool. So, like I said, it's like fine wine. You know, you let it cure, you let it age, you let it get to that level of perfectness.
Yeah.
And then throw it out.
Yeah, exactly. And then once you open that jar for that first time after it's done curing, oh man, that's talk about popping jars.
Yes.
So let's talk about your farm too and your style of growing. You know, so what medium and style are you using out there?
So we build our own soils. Luckily, I worked for a company called DAI, Drought Adaptation Industries, and Mr. Glenn is just a mad scientist on microbiology. Yeah. And so his big thing was feeding soil that was dead. Yeah. And we got a lot of dead soil out here in New Mexico, unfortunately. You know, it's part of being in a drought. And so, you know, in order to make soil alive, you got to have carbon material. You got to have sugar, fructose, and you got to have microbes. And microbes typically come from cow manure, earthworm castings. You know, there's all kinds of varieties. Typically crap, right?
Yeah.
So
dead things and crap. Yeah.
So Glenn was real cool. He was able to help us with building our swells up there on the farm. So we put just under a ton of worm castings into the ground out there, a whole bunch of carbon material, rice husks, just really good stuff, alfalfa meal, and just built essentially a super soil on the entire acre of the farm.
Yeah.
And so we drilled in our holes and just made real nice beds for these things. And then, 3 years now into it, we're able to dig down and we just find worms.
Nice.
So it's real cool. So we supplement, we put the plants in. We try to do is disturb the soil the least amount I can.
Yeah.
I put cover crop down. So over the winter time, we'll grow the cover crop. I'm talking, 2-3 feet high. We'll cut it all down, put it back into the dirt again. So none of it's raked up, none of it's clean. My farm is it's very pretty.
Yeah.
It's not one of those where there's gravel everywhere and everything's uniform and all that. Mine has swerving curves. And
more of a naturalist look.
I don't believe in straight lines. Like Terrence.
Right?
I'm the same exact. When I saw that man speak, I was like, oh, hallelujah, man. Finally somebody. You know what I mean? Somebody.
Yeah.
But I'm the same way, man. There's no curves. Like we built swells on the farm.
Yeah.
Water sequestering is a big thing. A lot of people don't do around here. And if you look at in Africa, how are the people growing food out there? They're digging these big holes in the desert, and they're collecting this every drop of rainwater they can. They plant the plants right in the middle of those holes, and they're growing vineyards all over across Africa.
Really?
Really cool.
Interesting.
Yes, really neat. So we're doing the same thing on the farm. We've swelled up. I built berms all the way around the farm, and whenever we get our acequia water, we're able to sequester all of that water.
Interesting.
And we're growing very little water. Those berms are holding. We're growing tomatoes, sunflowers, all kinds of wonderful stuff on them. And I haven't had water at all yet. 100 degrees.
Interesting. I saw another thing, a few years back with the Nahuatls or the Aztecs in Mexico during droughts, they would take the nopal, or the prickly pear for those, prickly pear plant, and they would take the pads and they would dig a big hole and they'll throw all those wet pads in there on the bottom, covered a little, and then plant the tree there.
Absolutely.
And then plant it on top of it.
And as they decompose, they're releasing water into
release some more moisture and everything. So, it's kind of reminded me of that. I was like, okay.
It's neat. It's like our rabbits too, so last time I talked, I think I told you I had 13 rabbits. No, we've got like 28 now.
Oh, they reproduce fast. So how long does it take them to have a little baby?
I think it's a 50 to 60 day rotation, right? So the other day I woke up and I went out there and I was like, where did all these rabbits come from? And it turns out I got black ones, white ones, calico. So if anybody wants a rabbit, hit me up, let me know, and we'll hook you up. We got some cute bunnies and get rid of them, but a bunch of them. And we use their fertilizer. Yeah. And so their poop again is readily available, and we pump it right over. We top dress with it. And that's great for the plants. It really does. So. It's cool having a closed system essentially, right? Yeah. And it took us some time in the beginning. We had to do some tealing. We had to get rid of invasive plants. We had a bunch of crap out there that wasn't too far. Within 2, we had alfalfa. Yeah. And the alfalfa that was grown out there is wonderful. Yeah. It's got a natural growth hormone in it, and when it breaks down into some of the best dirt you can grow with. So it's pretty unique, man. The farm's been there for a long time. They've been farming. For a long time, the Rosalito was pre-state water, right? Yeah.
Because it was an orchard before, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the orchard's still there. We're planning on putting a house there on the orchard eventually.
Okay.
So I'm living in a camper right now. But we're getting there. No, the orchard's got 80 apples, and then I've added in another 40 trees on top of it to include apricots, olives, pecans, all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah. And just trying to grow food. Yeah. That's our biggest thing. That was my main vision for buying the place.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know, the Tularosa Basin is actually very rich with, agriculture. I know over here in Cruces and the areas, there's green chile. Alamogordo, unfortunately, doesn't grow any green chile. They grow pistachios. Right. Up in the mountains, they have cherries and apples. There's actually a cherry festival and apple festival every year. I used to love going up there and picking cherries.
Yeah, they just had it last weekend, I think.
Did they? Just missed it. Missed it.
And it's
perfect
still
time to go
cherry pickings now.
Yeah.
So get up there anytime. RB Nichols, shout out to you, brother. Played football with RB too, man. Really good people. And as a matter of fact, I want to mimic my farm after them. They've done such a good job with marketing their place and just building something beautiful for people to go visit. Especially for people out of El Paso and Cruces that don't get the farm life kind of deal. You get to go pick your own fruit. Yeah. How cool is that? Yeah, it's really neat. And then eat it right off the tree.
It's so awesome.
It makes a good day.
It really does. I went there with a few friends a few times. You would go out there, have a good day, pick some cherries.
The cherry cider, right? My dad always wants a jug of cherry cider from out there, so we make it a trip. As a matter of fact, we're due. We got to go. So I'm thinking about going Thursday.
Nice. Yeah. I haven't had cherry cider in a few months. When we were doing the town halls and we went to eastern New Mexico, we stopped through and I told them, we're going to stop and get some cherry cider. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you won't regret it. Trust me. They have cherry cider slushes now in there, dude.
Yeah, the chili, you know, Tule grows a lot of chili.
Okay. I didn't know that.
The farm next to Espaka Farms.
Okay.
Where I bought the farm from.
Mr.
Rock
Okay.
Rocket,
That makes sense.
They grow quite a bit of chili.
Cool.
And they grow the Lumbre chili, which is what our farm is actually.
Yeah, actually, the name. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so we were just hanging out. Me and my dad were smoking.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're trying to come up with names, and my mom walks in, you know, and we're just like, man, you know, it's tough. And so the old man was like, you know, why don't we just call it Lumbre or Farms? And Lumbre is a chili that he likes. I mean, it's hot.
Yeah.
Hot stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably the hottest chili you can run into. And you can buy it in Roswell, the seeds. And if you can grow it, I mean, it will burn you up. And
yeah.
So my dad would always play a trick with us with that particular chili when we were kids. He'd roll it up in a tortilla with butter, right?
God, no.
And because, you know how it is, man. You want a tortilla with butter, especially the IGA Lowe's tortillas.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, fresh off the dang stove, you know, a little
fresh off the press. The old Mexican lady gave it to you. Give me
Absolutely. You get home with them real quick, throw some butter on them and munch them down. He would throw one of those chilies in there on us. And, golly, he loved watching us just cry. You know, I think it was his thing, but it was cool to name it after that, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, Lumbre chili, the hottest chili in the state.
Really? So
try to do the hottest smoke in the state. Right?
There you go. the hottest fire you got. Yeah, heck yeah.
And it ran good. You know, my bloodline's a Trujillo bloodline, and we're out of Hodno Valley, which is right up the road from you know, so to be able to staple that into our company was pretty neat.
That is cool, man. You know, and I was kind of wondering about the name too. I didn't even know about Elumbre Chile there, you know, because there's so many vast different kinds. And, you know, my dad was always looking for the best of the best.
Yeah, Barker Hots.
Yeah,
They got all the different
out in
varieties.
Deming, I forget the name of the farm that was out there. They grow some really hot Chile. I know one of my friend Cassandra's
and
mom.
Even here in Cruces, they have the longest running breeding facility at the state, I think.
Yeah, NMSU.
Right?
Yeah, NMSU.
Right? Yeah.
They're the ones who bred the current one that we use in the state. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So
yeah, it's pretty neat, man. Roots run deep here, man.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. You know, New Mexico state just grows green chili. They actually have a chili farm. You know, they grow different kinds of chile, and they're, you know, doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah. There's some friends that we went to high school with. They were working on genetic stuff with it. You know, trying to get it more that heat tolerant. You know, drought resistant, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, we'll see where all that stuff goes because, you know, they're studying it, you know, and there's a
really, really cool. It's the same thing that we're doing, right? We're breeding all kinds of different plants. We have our breeding projects in house that we're doing. And, you know, what we noticed is a lot of people are getting into the exotics, I like to call them, right? They got a lot of the orange sherbet kind of taste to them with the funk back ends.
Yes.
And so in order to do that, you got to find them and breed them. You know, so we bred our GMO, for example, with a lot of our exotics. So we were trying to get that garlic flavor involved in with our sweets. So we got garlic Skittles now.
Okay.
We got berry garlic. We got berry goo, which is bred with our gorilla glue. You know, so did some pretty good crosses now.
Yeah.
All the research and developments coming through, and the plants look great. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Well, I'm excited to go visit them. I know our friend Jade is going to be coming in from Germany, you know, next month, I believe.
We're getting ready for you guys.
Yeah,
we're getting pretty.
Hey, 100%. And yeah, you know, I'm ready to go check it out. You know, she wanted to go check it. And the reason why I mentioned our friend Jade is she's in Germany. If you guys have been paying attention, Germany legalized cannabis recently, and her and I have been chatting or whatever because I heard she was coming to town. I was like, dude, dope. Yeah, we're gonna hang out. And so she wanted to be on the podcast, and I was like, well, that'd be a good idea. I was like, actually, what you could do is you can check out the clubs and everything and the cannabis scene before you get here to New Mexico and kind of report back to us to let us know how it's going. And so she thought it was a great idea. I thought it was a great idea. Plus, she mentioned she wanted to go ride a pig on your farm, and you know, I think it'd be a good time.
Yeah, we had to knock down the pig pens, unfortunately, this year to make room for everything.
Oh,
man, we expanded the farm out another 3/4 acres.
Yeah.
So we added on. We increased plant count again. So just sucked up a little more chunk of it.
You know? Yeah.
But it's gonna be pretty nice. It's gonna be pretty nice.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's gonna be cool to go out there. You know, watching it full fledged. You know, because you know those plants will be out there in full.
A month from now, they'll be pretty.
Yeah, they're gonna be real pretty, you know. And we have the summer solstice, I believe, tomorrow or 2 days. 21st. Yeah, so in a couple days.
Yeah, I think
at the time of recording, of course, we have the summer solstice going on. If you guys don't know, the days get a little bit shorter every day during the summer solstice, and the plants realize that, and that triggers them to flower.
Get them in.
Yeah,
get them in. If you haven't got them in yet.
Yeah. If you haven't got them in yet, you're late, but you still have a little time.
Oh yeah. That's a blessing about New Mexico. You know, we can run long season, and we'll actually plant a second set right around August, September.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Again, you know, so that's our little trade secret.
Yeah,
you know, we flower quite a bit.
Yeah,
you know, and nonstop. It's a constant rotation.
Yeah,
you know, we don't just do our summer set and call it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's,
And Tularosa is colder than Alamogordo and
yeah,
Cruces.
7 degrees typically, but
Yeah.
you know what's good is with the water. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We have the Tularosa Creek that runs through, and then our acequia is the Rosalito acequia. And you know, the old farmers, they used to put water on their farms at night on freezes in order to maintain heat.
Okay.
So they would soak their property. The sun would come up, it would heat that mass.
Yeah.
That mass would maintain the warmth all night, and their plants wouldn't freeze. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. You just have to look at old farming.
Yeah.
Old farming past the 1950s and 60s, you know, whenever we're just blasting everything with as much chemicals.
Yeah, we're just figuring it out.
It's so terrible. We got to get, you know, into the 1800s, 1700s, back in the day when, you know, people had to work kind of in harmony with Mother Nature versus white.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, all kinds of ways to create little microenvironments to grow.
Yeah.
New Mexico's got vast because we're so warm.
Yeah.
You know, we stay warm. We don't freeze.
Yeah. And I've noticed that too, you know, even here in Cruces, you know, I'll throw it out in February, it's fine, you know, throw them out in August, fine. You can get 3 to 4 harvests here in New Mexico.
And strains are a big thing too, you know, your sativas don't like the cold at all.
No.
They hate it.
Yeah.
You know, you put a Maui Wowie in August and expect her to finish in October, she ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know, your first couple cold snaps and she's gonna hate it.
Yeah.
But you get a heavy indica, well, where do they come from?
Yeah.
Afghanistan a lot of times, right? So Afghan Kush, all those kind of things, those are heavy indicas. Those grow in the cold. They're used to the high mountain terrains and that kind of stuff. So, you know, strain specific, chasing your genetics to match your climates is another learning process and curve that you could do, and you know, to increase your growth here.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for beginner growers, it's not just putting a seed in the ground. It's a lot more advanced. You know?
Yeah, and people learn that, you know, fairly quickly. You know, because you know, in New Mexico, you're allowed to grow plants. You're at home. You can grow 6 mature, 6 immature, per adult. And you're allowed 12 max per household. There you go. It's the whole thing for you guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a lot of people have been learning that, you know, and they say, oh yeah, I try to grow at home and, you know, I didn't do it again. And I hear that a lot. And when we're going through the legislature and stuff, people are like, oh, there's going to be so many people growing. And I'm like, they will at first. A lot of people will try it and then they won't ever do it again.
That's the same thing as a tomato, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to grow a tomato from seed to sandwich.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. And it's a lot easier just to go down to the grocery store and go buy you some tomatoes and make you a sandwich.
Yeah.
So, it's a thing of a hobby, I think, more of a love of the plant.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, people are going to go out to do it for a financial benefit. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. There's a lot of work that's involved into it.
Yeah.
Know? So, and then too, you grow that seed, it ends up being a male. So you put all that work in, and then you have to kill it.
Yeah. You're like, ah, damn it.
You know, so you know, ratios they'll get you sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so,
it will.
That's the cool thing about being a producer for anything.
Yeah.
So most people don't want to or don't have the time to.
Yeah. And well, let's talk about, you know, the secondary shop that we were talking about, you know, beforehand. You know, not the grow, but the one up was 82 going towards Cloudcroft.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you know, your brother told me about the location, and I game with your brother quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know, him and I hang out quite a bit.
Damn gamers.
Yeah, we're gamers. And the building that he took over used to be a literal black market when we were growing up, and he used to have a rattlesnake pit. And, you know, growing up, we all had these rumors and stuff. Well, they did get popped by the feds one time. And I think they're selling illegal guns is what they got popped for.
Yeah, it's national news for Alamogordo again.
Yeah.
You know, Blackhawks. And that was a pretty big to-do if you were there for it, you know.
It was. And it was, you know, all kinds of conspiracies with the kids and everything. We were like, oh, yeah. And I went a couple times as an older adult. There was a bunch of wild stuff, porn, of course, and like the 70s porn.
Yeah.
And then you had like
selling illegal firearms.
Yeah, that's what they're selling over there. And, you know, who knows? They're probably selling other stuff. It's just what they got caught for. But you took that property over. And so when I drove by it one time, I just laughed because, you know, the memories and everything. I'm like, that's great. An Alamo kid buying that place because we all knew about it.
Yep.
You know, and I'm sure a few of you visited. I visited myself and, you know, did the rattlesnake thing and let it pop a balloon or whatever with the rattlesnake pit. So, you know, is the pit still there?
The pit's still there. There's no snakes in it.
Okay.
I think they got in trouble for having too many snakes.
Okay.
And so they've looked into the legalities of it and stuff. And so I'm still partnered up with Mr. Moore there and the Moore family. And they're, I mean, it's a staple for our community. You know, everybody knows the snake pit. Everybody knows Moore's Trading Post. You know, you can go.
Well, they had the snake things back in the day. The roundups, the snake roundups. Yeah,
and they were popular.
Yeah,
they really,
I went to one.
Really were, and they still are in certain states. You know, ours got nicked down by the EPA.
Yeah,
and so, you know, it's one of those deals. You know, you're on the fence of what's right or wrong with animal protection. You know? Yeah. So, but the place has just got so much potential.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful piece of property. We're on highway frontage, and you know, we've got room for RVs, we've got room for people pulling their campers and trailers. You know, a lot of people from El Paso going up the mountain.
Yeah.
You know, they can't fit in the dispensaries in Alamogordo.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
true.
we've got a whole bunch of room. We've got 2 or 3 acres. We're thinking about doing RV storage there as well, and hopefully outdoor consumption. So,
Okay.
it's a full operation tier. We're doing curbside to go, drive through, indoor dispensary, but only 2 people maximum capacity at a time. It's our little container.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and then consumption.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. I mean, it's got a lot of potential, like I said.
Yeah, it does. You know, it's a cool little spot. If you guys are ever driving up to Cloudcroft, it's on the side of the road. You can't miss it. Yeah.
We're gonna be signing it up pretty heavy here pretty soon. We got a lot of frontage to play with, and then my true passion for the place is the market farm.
Okay.
We're gonna set up a farmers market out there.
Cool.
And you know, we're getting going. We're doing the development. I just got the booth built for it, and get food. You know, food out to people. It's a good spot for you guys to stop in and get you a watermelon and head on up the mountain and enjoy yourselves. You know, so you know, it's a work in progress, but it's something I love doing.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just grown and grown and grown, man. I mean, it really has.
That's dope, man, and I'm proud of you. You know, like yeah, you're doing a lot of cool stuff. You know,
it's a lot of work. You know,
yeah.
You don't realize whenever you work a 9 to 5 and you're used to getting that staple paycheck every time. You know, it's just like, okay, this is my life and this is what I'm going to do, and come home and sit on the couch and watch TV and wake up the next day and do that. I don't watch TV no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have time to watch TV. I don't listen to the radio no more. I don't drink. I don't go out to parties. You can ask all of my friends that I know. I am not there.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm devoted to this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pouring my entire life into this. So much so that I'm even missing out times with my kids.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the kind of sacrifice that you got to make in order to do something like this. But if you love it, you don't even know. I mean, my days go by so fast, Chad. They go by blink.
Yeah.
From sun up to sun.
Because you're doing what you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you're doing what you love.
So cool.
Yeah.
But it's stressful. I have
Yep.
knots on my back. I'm worried. I lose a lot of sleep. Yeah. I mean, it's we're in a very volatile market.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a very competitive market, and not only that, we're under a lot of stringencies under the government.
Yeah.
So you know, we have to abide by, like I said, the CCD, the OSC, the RLD, the you know, there's just so many of them that we have to follow, and they're red tape.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like I told you, I filed less paperwork to drop bombs than I do to grow a plant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
so
ridiculous, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's a new, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to deal with it. But you know, it's a labor of love. Man.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of, you know, dealing with the government, you know, how has the issues with the Border Patrol been really affecting you as a business?
You know, I feel for the guys here in Cruces. Luckily for us, we don't have the stringencies. You know, Otero County, I'm pretty much free to evacuate as much as I can.
Yeah.
The only thing that it really did hurt for me is actually sales in Las Cruces, because I don't want to bring. I'm a door-to-door salesman essentially. You know, I'm the owner of the company. I feel like I should put my face to my product. And so whenever I come into your dispensary, I have a briefcase with my samples, and I say, smell the jar right here, and I show everybody what I got. And for me to have to take my briefcase back, now I got to go through that Border Patrol.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to go through, you know, I manifest everything to myself. I have the paperwork right there. I have the chain of custody, everything ready to go, but it's a headache.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. And then two, I feel for the guys in Las Cruces because they can't get their product out. They're dealing with this. So it's kind of like, you guys keep your stuff in Cruces, sell there. I'll distribute my stuff to Albuquerque and Ruidoso and kind of leave it alone.
Yeah.
Know? So it hurt me there because I want to be in Las Cruces, but as far as me getting caught with anything, I've left that to where there's no chance of it.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, you know, had to nick out a population from our product, but you know, it's part of it.
Yeah, and you know, that's a lot of people, you know, fortunate. You know, growing up in Alamogordo, we dealt with that one border check, and you know, the Cruces one if you went that way.
Right.
But yeah, you know, we're above it. So you know, going to Albuquerque was never an issue.
50 friends that live here in Las Cruces, and all of them, where can I buy your smoke? And I'm like,
I know, like I want to support you, homie, but what the hell?
Dude, it's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. You know, Ruidoso is heavy, but you know, pray for Ruidoso right now, everybody. You know, with the fires going on, but you know, they're a big buyer of our stuff. They love it up there in Albuquerque and Alamo. You know,
yeah.
All locals.
Well, speaking of, you know, where is, you know, the rest of your product in the state? You know, like what other areas do you have your product in?
You know, Roswell's tough.
Okay.
It's tough for everybody, right? Because all the big chains are in Roswell, and they really didn't allow a lot of the small dispensaries to play.
No.
So that locked off the southern part of the state, kind of. Carlsbad, I was in Carlsbad there for a little while with Cave City.
Okay.
Kansas.
Yeah, Cave City. Yeah.
Good guys.
Yeah.
Really, really
Good
like
dudes.
those guys. Yeah.
Eli.
Really,
Shout
really
out to
good.
Eli.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real good guys, man. And just pretty much stuck up with Ruidoso. I was in Munchies, Elevated 6420, Chillax Glass, a bunch of big chains up there. Alamogordo, SNH Green Light,
Okay.
partial owner in that company, and
Yeah.
we sell quite a bit out of them. And then Albuquerque, Belen, and Budding Bar in Belen. Those guys love our live rosin and a lot of our concentrates up there.
Oh yeah.
So we distributed pretty good.
Yeah, you did.
State. I've been in over 200 dispensaries, walking around, trying to sell our product, and I think we're just under 80 right now.
Okay. So all over the state, yeah. So that's good. Good for you, man. Hell
yeah. Good fingers out, man. And we get good reviews. That's the wonderful part about it. Everybody calls us back and says, "Man, your stuff tastes great. You're a little expensive," But I had to maintain a price line.
Yeah.
I know the work that goes into the plant. I know how much time, effort, and love that went into that, and you got to hold your prices high. And, if I could say anything to the producers out there, please, value your product. Just because you're getting started or it's not selling, don't knock it down to $400 a pound and just throw it out there, because once you do that, you set precedence for that dispensary for the rest of your dealings with them. Now it's a $400 pound no matter what the quality. So I stuck to a $1,500 pound for a long time until about a month ago. And this is light dep. This is not indoors. But it's damn good light dep. Quality speaks in the bag, and that's why we're able to sell as high as we are. But we have had the competition of dealing with guys who crap smoke. And then I walk in the dispensary a month later, and I'm like, "Where you been, bro? We need good weed. Look, this won't sell." Well, that's the deal. You pay the higher price, you'll sell your stuff.
But yeah, so that's interesting to hear and everything about the prices and everything, because I've seen the race to the bottom, and I've been watching it this whole time, and some people are just bending the knee to get the sale,
right?
And they're like, "Oh yeah, I sell it for $800 because they're gonna buy it for that much." I'm like, you just cut yourself hundreds of dollars. I get it. The retail's this and that, but you got to think about yourself.
Right.
In the end, the farmer always gets fucked over.
Yes.
And it sucks. And that's one thing I've tried to, tell the farmers. And I'm like, don't allow the retails to do that to you. Right. You're the farmer. They can't have weed without your weed.
Right. And the micro growers too, they're the ones I really feel for. We've got a plant count that we can maintain, but if you only got 200 plants and your testing is up to a 15-pound limit, so you can only test up to 15 pounds. Well, every one of those tests costs money. Yeah. And then two, if you're only growing, let's say you're going to grow 7 genetics, and you're only going to harvest 2 pounds per genetic. Now you got to test 2 pounds, 2 pounds, 2 pounds, 2 pounds, and turn around and sell that. Well, there goes all your money. Yeah. It just disappeared. Plus, you're paying plant count. It just. And
then if you make extracts, you got to test that.
Yes.
Like hash rosin,
or you have to test it, or you got to pay the manufacturer to do all that. That's very expensive. Thank God I was blessed with a couple of real good manufacturers that do splits with me, and because like they told me, some of those things to run is a $50,000 charge.
Yep.
And I don't know most of these small time farmers didn't got the money to do that.
No.
So
thank God for splits.
Yeah. It's good for everybody as long as the product's good. It's like I was told, shout out to Donnie for Farmers Quality, man, but good in is good out. Yeah. And that's why he really liked us. I try to get him the best product I can, so that whenever I get it back, man, I get gold. Yeah. And it does. And I produce really, really good stuff out of it. So you gotta be good in this game. I mean, everybody knows it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
If you're not growing good weed, you're not going to survive. If you're not selling good weed, you're not going to survive. It's like Monster House here. Yeah. We had a good meeting with Gator, and all we smoked was good ass weed. And that's why he's here. Yeah. So,
dope, man. Yeah.
Quality's going to prevail, man.
Yeah. Quality's always going to be king. And right now, New Mexico, we're not a corporate ran kind of state. Mom and pop kind of grows seems to be king here. Right. And same thing
with the normal populace.
Yes.
Normal populace, we're very much local. Local heroes win all essentially here. So I think that's the best for us too. Because we are going to pour our money back into the community instead of shipping it out somewhere else. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of these big chains that have come in, and that money's not staying here, guys. It's not. It's not. So support your local chains. Your mom and pops. The guys that own their shops. Shout out to Roadrunner and Alamogordo. Yeah.
Yeah,
Andrew,
bro.
come on, bro, let's go, man.
Yeah.
You know, we know the owners of the shops. It might be a little more pricey. It's because we're the owners of the shops. We're the locals.
Yeah.
We're getting the good smoke. We're doing the stuff that's right instead of just shipping in crap weed and selling it for a low price. You know?
Yeah.
So
Low cutting the farmer and everything to get to there and everything.
Then the money goes away.
Yeah.
You know, the money goes away.
Doesn't
So,
stay
you
here.
know, yeah, keep it here. Keep it with us. You know, support us and we'll support you. You know, we want to pour the money back into this place.
Yeah.
You know, we want to pour Tularus. I got all kinds of plans for that place.
Yeah.
You know, little community needs.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, man, we just got to build the dream.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
One day at a time.
Yeah.
So,
and you guys are, you know, and it's cool to see, you know, Alamogordo doing something. I was afraid Alamogordo was going to be super conservative. You know our town, super conservative
that
with
was
it.
a flip. I didn't.
Yeah.
I expected a dispensary cap, but I like to think that I helped with that. I actually spoke before the city council and told them that, you know, you guys got to realize that, like I said to you last time, 60% of these guys are going to fail. It's almost 70%, 66, 70% of these are going to fail. But whenever they come into all these buildings in your town, they're going to fire up all these broke down buildings that aren't up to code, that were doing nothing. Nobody was inside of them.
People were pissed off about them.
They were growing rats and mold and everything else, right? They're pouring their entire retirements, their livelihoods, every dollar, penny, dime that they have into these buildings, going through all of the crap inspections, not crap, the necessary, very, very necessary inspections that they have to get the licensing, to get the certificate of occupancies, the fire inspections, everything done on these buildings, and then they're going to fail.
Yeah.
So what happens? The town inherits all of this money, all of these buildings to put in the nail salons, to put in the subway, or the other mom and pop buildings and businesses that can be popped up. So, you know, let it happen.
Yeah.
Let the green rush happen. Let the wave go away, and then inherit all the money that all these people poured into these places. It really is, because I hate it, man. I'm watching people fall off. Numbers are falling off like crazy. You know,
Yeah.
The big houses.
I see it every month. Yeah. Here in town, you see it when you drive by. Solanos are, and you see it. Places shut down left and right. You know, so I mean, it's happening.
Absolutely. And then too, you know, I have owners asking me, you know, Doug, where do you think the market's going to go? You know, and I hate to say it for the guys that aren't growing their own smoke. If you look at the other big shops, if you look at Colorado, you look at California, you look at everything, the producer, retail, manufacturer owned all in one house. Those are the ones that are surviving. The ones that are having to subsource their cannabis, it's not working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm able to grow it, sell it to myself, into my retail, and then redistribute it.
Because, you know, it's easier versus a retail. Retail, you pay 280E. 280E is a mother. Like, everybody essentially has to pay it, but you really have to pay it if you're in retail.
Right.
So if you're just retail, yeah, you're kind of stuck with that.
Absolutely. And too, for example, for a retail store on our side, we're able to pool our retail employees, come work on the farm for a couple of days, and now we're able to write them off as production employees instead of retail employees.
There you go.
So there's different ways to work the tax system to be able to do it right, but you have to be a producer to start off to pay, right? And so yeah, man, I mean, it's tough. It's tough all the way around, especially the tax increases are going to continue. You know, we already seen that. Cali, they were licking their lips over there at the hall about the money. Yeah. You know, so.
Washington's 37%. I didn't realize how high. I thought it was 30 something, but not 30, almost 40%. That is, whoa, talk about a black market freaking heaven, you know, like that's nuts.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's
bad. You know, we're stockpiling as much as we can to prepare for taxes, you know, essentially.
And that's something that we need to tackle this next legislative session, you know, is the taxes. It needs to either go down or remain where it's at, because increasing isn't going to help us at all. It's just going to make things worse.
We got to stick where we're at. Let us get used to the normal playing field, I guess, if you will, and then, you know, play with it after a couple of years. But, you know, just don't poke the high yet. Let her build up a little bit.
Yeah, we're barely getting stable. You know, let us stabilize first. Absolutely. You know, it takes a good 5-6 years to get a stable market.
Most businesses are 3. This is a 5-year. This is a 5-year run.
Yeah, and I've been saying that this whole time. It's going to be about 5 years before New Mexico really starts seeing a stable market. You know, once we hit year 5, and you know we're headed actually into year 3. You know, where we're in year 2. We should start seeing more stableness. And right now the bubble is really taking people out. Along with other decisions too as well. But you know,
I printed my third license. I was like, oh man,
weird.
I'm starting to get a deck here. You know, it's almost got 5 cards to play. You know, it's like, cool. That's a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, it is. So, but yeah, man, thank you for joining me and everything. But before we move on to the next conversations and everything, where can people find you online, and where can people find you just in general?
Ellumbrefarms.com. You can Google us, Lumbre Farms. It pops up pretty quick. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Everybody pretty much knows where I'm at and where to find me.
Yeah.
I have been kind of off the social media kick there for a little while. It was mainly focus up.
Yeah.
We've got 2,000 plants to get in the ground, and very. It's really just get after it. But I got videos coming, guys. I got all that good stuff, that everybody's been chasing me for recently. I have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
And I really try to do the romantic side of the cannabis. I know a lot of the guys do the gangbanger side of it, or I don't know. It's just, to me, it's more of a medicine. It's more of a nature thing. It's more beautiful. So whenever I do my videos and stuff, I do them with a lot of nature music and meditation music and that kind of stuff. And I think people really vibe with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody smokes cannabis, not just the gangsters, and even then they got a soft side too. We've all seen that. Yeah, they're big teddy bears.
I know most of them too.
Yeah.
Thug life. But
thugs need a hug too.
Yeah, they do. And the reason why they smoke it is to be a good dad and a good grandpa and all that stuff too. It calms them and relaxes them and allows them to be that teddy bear.
Yeah.
So. It's pretty fun seeing what that plant can do.
Yeah, it is. Well, appreciate you, Doug. I look forward to continuing this conversation. But it's been great to talk about
we'll
the farm.
See you in July, man. Come on, check the girls out and do the podcast there.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do do a little special there or something. We'll see. We'll see if Gino's down for traveling. So we're going to move on to the next conversation. We're going to be talking about Bright Green. And if you guys don't know, Bright Green is a federally approved grower producer of cannabis here in New Mexico, in Grants, New Mexico, up north. Northwestern a little bit. And they have, I think, 400,000 plants count, some ridiculous number.
So the last time we spoke, you told me about this place, and I had to look it up.
Yeah.
And I saw the pictures of this monstrosity. And the thing that gets me about it is, we had to go through so much fine tape in order to get to where we're at, right?
Yeah.
And we had to pay a lot of money to get to that point. And a 400,000 plant count at $5 per plant is a lot of money that should have went to the state. If I have to pay $5 per plant along with all my other producers having to pay that, to me, any cannabis grown in this soil within these borders should have to pay that $5 plant count.
I agree.
I don't agree with that place being functional. It blew my mind. I didn't know anything about it until you told me about it. I had to look it up, and I said, "Holy crap!"
Yeah,
there was millions of dollars that were put into that facility.
Yeah,
millions.
And it's alarming. Like back in the day, maybe 6 years ago, I would have been like, "Yeah, all for something like that." But this isn't 6 years ago. We have our own market now. We have our own rules. We have our own laws on legal cannabis, and they've kind of skipped all of that and went through the federal government route. And now on top of that, and I've tried to get these guys on for, interview since I've heard about them.
Mm-hmm.
And, I haven't heard anything from them. They just got a new CEO. And I'll explain who he is, here in a little bit and what they have going on. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because there's a couple of changes on that front with them. They're not just looking to grow cannabis now. Now they're looking to grow all kinds of different Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 substances. So recently they sent in, and now it's not approved yet, but they did just send in an application to produce Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 substances to be sold on an international level. So this worries me because they also had a fundraising event around the same time where they had, I think, over 100 investors show up there. And now they have plans of going to different areas, and the name of the group is Asia Capital Pioneer Group. That was the name of the group that went with them, and they're going to start an EB5 investment. And I'm reading this off the notes because this stuff I didn't really even know.
Sure.
And they're actually thinking about going overseas to do more, get more funding and more investors. Looking at going to Dubai. Now, Dubai has a lot of money. We know about Dubai. I mean, Sunlit Park, we call it Little Dubai.
Right.
Singapore and Malaysia. So they're looking at, different Asian countries and, of course, in the Middle East. And what that tells me is they're just looking for very wealthy people that want to jump on the bandwagon with this, just as fast as possible. Because I have the list of all the Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 substances that they did apply for in that, and I'll read them off to you guys in a second. But, so far, you looked up, this company and everything. How do you really feel about hearing the expansion?
It's scary because, to me, it feels like they're preparing for the future.
Yeah.
Right. So they know that we're probably going to deschedule a whole bunch of things is what I'm looking at. I think the feds are going to pretty much just make everything legal is what it's looking like. Because I mean, on your list there's opium, there's all kinds of crazy stuff in there, and they're not just growing cannabis.
Yeah.
Now cannabis is a big kick to the nuts for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, big time. But for the full vast of what this company is planning on doing, to me, it's legalized drugs.
Yeah.
They're going to be selling everything that you can to make everything that's out in the world right now,
Yeah.
which include opium, mushroom, psychedelics. Now, I'm not against that either. You know, I believe that that's something that's going to cure PTSD eventually one day. But why sneak it in?
Yeah.
You know, why do it federally instead of state? You know, we need so much money here in the states side, and that's our land, that's our water, that's our state. You know, why allow it? I just don't get it. It's too read off the stuff that's in there.
So for Schedule 1, no, I said Schedule 1 and 2, so I'll go down to Schedule 1 first. Ibogaine, not sure what that is. Cannabis extract, I have marijuana here, but I refuse to say marijuana. Cannabis in general, tetrahydrocannabinols, you know, THC, mescaline, which, you know, that includes peyote. And that also includes San Pedro. Yep. If some people don't know, San Pedro actually has mescaline in it. It's the same chemical. Peyote's on here, psilocybin and psilocyan, which are psilocybin and psilocyan are around the same thing, similar. Now that's on the Schedule 1. Now here's a Schedule 2. Now this is where I start to get very alarmed. Oxycodone, morphine methylbromide. Don't know what that is. Morphine methylosulfonate, morphine N oxide, the bane, that's what it's called. I don't know what the bane is. Opium raw, opium extracts, opium fluid extracts, opium tincture, opium powder, opium granulated, opium poppy straw concentrate. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to become the biggest hub of opium producers in the world. Because right now, the United States, we source our opium because, you know, our opioids and our opiates come from the poppy plant, but we don't produce it here in the state. We usually get it from, I think, India and Australia are one of the two main hubs that we get those from. These guys look like they want to be the main source of that. Now, as you guys know, we had an issue with opioids, and we're still dealing with it. Unfortunately, my sister was a part of that number, and her life was taken by the opioid epidemic back in the day. But from 2010 to late 2000s, early 2010s to about now, we're still dealing with it.
Right.
And something like this really worries me because we're finding out that, you know, opioids shouldn't be used long term, you know, in the first place. They're short-term use kind of things, and they're for extreme use. You know, for extreme cases, you broke your leg, you know, you're bedridden for a week, you know, and you need something to help you because you're healing.
Right.
You know, it shouldn't be for years at a time, you know, months at a time.
Well, unfortunately, they fed it to us. I mean, even the VA. Yeah, the VA was big about feeding oxycodone, and my dad was a victim of that too. You know, I mean,
they tried it with me. Yeah.
The hardcore, you know, and they expect it to be a temporary thing, but you're going to still prescribe it 2, 3, 4 years into the pain diagnosis
instead of trying to fix the issue.
Fixing it, something's wrong.
Yeah, it's like, you know, like, you know, other medications like, you know, you know, stuff like I'm allergic to it, that's why I don't remember it. Penicillin. You know, something like penicillin, that's needed. You know, like, you know, that helps with, you know, infections.
Sure.
You know, that makes sense. Painkillers, on the other hand, they're temporary use because pain is supposed to be temporary. If you have long-term pain, that issue needs to be fixed or figured out somehow instead of relying on something just to mask it up, because then you run into this issue. But, you know, we'll get back to the bright green conversation and everything. You know, I can go off on this whole, you know, pandemic, the opioids thing, but, you know, it's alarming because, yeah, they're looking to be, you know, the biggest producer of all of this, and it's really scary because they're trying to be 70% of the DEA's holding of cannabis, of just cannabis. You know, they want to be the 70% producer of it. And now there's other federal farms that are going to be popping up around the nation too, but I think this is the biggest one that they have.
Well, the thing is, I think the state and the Fed needs to work together to allow the producers locally to sell federally. I mean, you know, why have two different programs and then allow it? That's what I don't understand. Why would the state allow something like that whenever they were so strict on no cannabis, no cannabis, no cannabis? Okay, now we're going to legalize. We're going to allow us to grow it, but then you're not going to allow us to have the federal market. You realize how much money that would be for all the companies here that are trying to survive? You know, that's huge. That's a large amount of money. And then two, the $5 per plant count again. If they're going to grow 400,000 plants, then charge them for it. That's state money. You should be getting that money.
That's money that could go to our roads, to our schools. Oh God, our schools. You know, like, you know, I'm a child of, you know, teachers, so, you know, I hold the schools near dear to my heart. You know, and, you know, I know that it needs help. And, you know, that could improve our schools. You know, that could, you know, get us better schools, you know, better teachers. because we know one of the issues that plagues our schools is the fact that we just don't have the teachers to teach the students, so that's going to be something that we have to figure out. But I'm curious to see where this goes. Like I said, they don't call me back. They did get a new CEO. I forget his name. It's a funny name. I think I have it on here. Oh yeah, Seamus McCauley or McAuley was the old one, and the new one, his name is Groovy Singh. I should have remembered it because his name's Groovy. Yeah. He's a
That's a perfect name for what he's trying to do.
Yeah. I know, right? With all this stuff on the list, yeah, Groovy is a perfect name. So he just started earlier this year. I think February is when he started. So I'm not too sure what about him. Seems that his credentials are a little better than the other CEOs. So hopefully I can maybe get them on the show sometime and they can give us their side of the story. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're trying to save the world. I have no clue.
How do I sign up?
Yeah. I'll help you save the world. Shit.
Yeah, I've got a chunk of land. We'll throw some plants on them and get that federal money. I mean, that's the deal. Give us an opportunity too.
Yeah, and I want them to have an opportunity to say their piece too. Like I don't want to just sit here and assume and go off of what the media says or what the CEO says, because this briefing right here came from the CEO himself.
Could you imagine? My mom would love a field of poppy plants.
Yeah,
beautiful. That would.
They're gorgeous. They're such a gorgeous plant.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, and the weed, it's a gorgeous plant too. We usually smoke it, but just looking at it aesthetically, it's a beautiful plant. Same thing with poppies.
Yeah, my grandma says the same thing. Quito is so pretty, but it's illegal. No, it's not. It's not illegal.
Yeah,
but she likes her sod.
So, but that's all I have for the bright green thing right now, guys. And I'll keep you up to date with it. It just looks like they're trying to set themselves up for a global powerhouse when it comes to scheduled stuff.
It's not something we want to see in a small state.
Yeah,
we're small. We need to keep it small, and if something big's going to come in, we need to take advantage of it too.
Yeah,
they shouldn't be able to play without paying.
100%. And they're going to figure out that New Mexicans don't like outsiders. And I've had to tell people this a few times, and I'm guilty of it myself. I'd do it.
Yeah.
But
I see a Texas license plate. No offense, Texas.
We love your tax money. Don't get me wrong.
You see one, you're like, oh man, every time you get past them, damn Texan.
He's like, oh, fucking Texans.
They say the same thing about our New Mexico license.
Yeah.
Slow, chilly drivers.
It's like, dang it. But unfortunately right now the common ground that we have is Ruidoso is on fire. So if you guys could, please donate whatever you can to the cause. There's several different retails. Thank you for those who are doing it. I know Cinder is one of them, who's doing donations for the people that are affected by it. If you guys don't know, Ruidoso is on fire right now. It's something that's kind of been popping up the past couple of days, but it got worse within the last few hours.
It's bad. I was a wildland firefighter for a while, and it's so hard not running up that mountain and helping those people up there. But a lot of times too, you can over volunteer. So don't get in the way of these guys too. Allow them to do their jobs. But volunteer based off of food, shelters, that kind of deal. There's a lot of assistance that can be done up there, but it's bad. It's like I said yesterday, I went in my office and it was 2 puffs of smoke, and when I came back out 4 hours later, it looked like somebody set a nuke off up there.
That's crazy.
It was huge plumes of smoke. It's a very fast moving fire, and prayers for everybody up there. Prayers for the firefighters that are fighting it. And the families that have lost everything. This is going to be tough. This is pretty detrimental to the whole community.
Yeah, and I personally know a few people who have been affected by it too. I'm sure you do too.
Absolutely. And, like I said, we sell a lot of product to everybody up there, and so we have relationships with a whole bunch of people. And as a matter of fact, here at Monster House, our buddy Gator lost a piece of property himself. So prayers for everybody up there, man.
Yeah,
fight the good fight.
Yeah, especially the Canada fam out there, and I know you guys are dealing with it. So if there's anything we can do to help, we'll try to help wherever we can, but our hearts pour out to Ruidoso right now. So yeah, cool. So we're gonna move on to the next topic, the last topic actually of the day, and I'll just update y'all real quick on a lawsuit. So it looks like Top Organics or Ultra Health, they sued a company, but this lawsuit is interesting because they sued an insurance company over the fact of paying for cannabis. Right. And so this company that they paid for is one of the biggest insurance companies in the nation, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I see why they sued Blue Cross Blue Shield and why they're doing this. So in New Mexico, it went to the state Supreme Court that cannabis is a medication and cannot be taxed, right? So that's already there. So now the next step would be to have the insurance companies pay for the cannabis because it is viewed as a medicine in the state.
Yep.
So the insurance companies, of course, have a different view, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it looks like, Ultra Health or Duke Rodriguez took it upon themselves to sue Blue Cross Blue Shield over this for them to pay for our cannabis. Now, if this happens, that is game changing for everybody.
Absolutely
Huge.
And it needs to happen.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
The cost of pharmaceuticals is very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so a monthly prescription of anything, you know, even the EpiPens, you know, that was
Yeah.
a big controversy, and that's a very expensive item.
It is.
So, you know, if you look at the monthly use of somebody using cannabis for their medicine, it's pretty much the same cost.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not really, you know, decreasing, but what it's going to force the insurance companies to do is they're going to have to get in bed with the producers and, and the retail guys, which is good. It's a good thing. Everybody needs to be tied in order to drop the prices.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, the insurance is a big to do. It's a big to do because there's a lot of people that need the medicine.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
We've got patients in Ruidoso that use our GMO for epilepsy.
Mm-hmm.
One particular woman, she swears up and down that it stops her seizures completely.
Yeah.
And so that store keeps GMO on store, you know, on stock all the time for her. You know,
Jeez,
so
that's cool. Yeah, that is a beautiful thing.
It's a cool thing to hear, you know.
Yeah.
So it shows it's medicine. You know, it needs to be considered that. It is considered that legally, right?
Yeah, yeah. Here in New Mexico, it is.
So
Yeah.
pay up, insurance companies.
Yeah.
You know, this keep our people healthy.
Yeah.
You know, and cannabis is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Focus on health.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and if this lawsuit does go through, you know, I could see a lot of more people getting their card for that reason. The people that need it, you know, that refuse to get it right now,
right?
You know, because it costs a lot, and I get it. Cannabis has gone down significantly since the medical days here in New Mexico. You can get ounces for $100. You can get ounces for $50 if you want to go that low of a quality. But you know, for a good quality product, you're still going to be dishing out $350 for an ounce.
Sure.
You know, but at least before taxes. That's if you have a card. So that gets expensive. You know, some people blow through that in a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
You know, especially if you have pain or you're dealing with something else. You know, like whatever. You know, if medical cannabis patients tend to use more because they need more.
Right.
So if you're a patient every 2 weeks, that's $600 something bucks.
Right.
You know, and you know, if you're using that to make edibles or something like that, you know, you're using that to get another product. You know, you're making even more. So
it adds up.
Yeah, it adds up very quickly.
Adds up.
Yeah,
you know, but still, same right about cost as a prescription for any other pharmaceutical drug.
Exactly, and insurance picking that tab up is just gonna.
You might as well, you know, and then too, you know, we're trying to kick people off the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah,
you know, that was the big thing for the startup for my dad to start growing back in the day. You know, was to kick pharmaceuticals.
Yeah,
and he did.
Yeah,
and so
happy for him, man.
Yeah,
no,
it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Your dad's a good man. Yeah, he's a good man. He deserves to be off them, you know. Yeah.
He's crazy, man. He's a good grandfather too.
Yeah,
he's good to my kids.
I bet. Yeah. You know. Awesome. So yeah, back to the topic. We always jump back and forth. Like, yeah. How's they doing? So, but yeah, you know, and I wanted to bring this up because you know, Duke Rodriguez, of course, Ultra Health. You know, they have the reputation they have, but every lawsuit that he's really done, you know, when it comes to the industry like this, has been beneficial.
It's huge.
Yeah.
This one's huge.
Yeah, this one's massive.
Probably. Yeah, this is going to make or break,
you
know, essentially the future for it. It won't make or break it, but it's a big step.
It is.
You know, and if we can win it, God bless.
Yeah.
You know, that's wonderful. Essentially, it's going to open up a big market for everybody too.
Yeah.
You know, you got to realize that would help with the dispensaries. Now these people can afford it because their insurances are paying for it. Their insurance are actually doing their job.
Yeah.
And paying for medication that they should be paying for.
Yeah. In the first place.
Yeah. No, I'm praying he wins.
Yeah.
You know, I hope he does.
And another thing, I just thought of this too. This opens it up for medical psilocybin once that comes too, because
we need it. It's a big thing. I actually am a user myself, if you will. Not a lot, but right around year 1.5, I started developing chest pains and heart palpitations, and it was just the stress of everything, you know, trying to build these companies up. And a buddy of mine suggested Thomas Budner, real good friend of mine.
Oh, Thomas, love that guy, man. How's he doing?
He's doing good,
That's
man.
good.
Tom's kicking butt. You know? He told me that he had read or watched Joe Rogan or something like that, and the microdosing for helping with stress and anxiety and that kind of stuff, you know. So I got some shrooms and started doing microdosing. And what was cool about it is I never got to where I was actually, you know, seeing things or tripping, but I felt real good.
Yeah.
You know, it was really weird. And then my chest stopped hurting, and you know, I felt good about life and the confidence in what I was doing, and it kind of just pushed me through. And then I realized, I was like, okay, I see why they're pushing so hard on it in the medical field. I can see why it would help with PTSD. I can see why, because it kind of just allows you to let go.
Yeah,
it really does. It allows you to take that deep breath that everybody's holding in. Because we're all you know, short, choppy breathers, all tensed up all the damn time, right? It allows you to breathe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really did, and it helped me. So for us to be able to grow the mushrooms, to grow the poppies to grow the cannabis. I think that's a huge thing for all the producers here. I think we would all love to be able to produce medicine for us.
Yeah.
Right? And the mushrooms are coming.
Yeah,
They're coming.
they are.
I would love to grow them myself and search the license myself, but
Yeah.
we'll see how hard that's going to be.
Yeah, we'll see, and hopefully we'll try to make that a little easier. You know, as you guys know, I'm working with a group trying to legalize psilocybin for medical use and all that, and it's going to be a process. You know, it's going to be hopefully years. Hopefully we can get a medical program next year, but you know, we'll see. You know, the memorial that we did passed unanimously, so the whole Senate voted yes on it. That means Republicans, Democrats, and Independents all voted yes. One of the most conservative Republicans in the Senate, he actually co-sponsored the bill.
Really?
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
yeah, I was blown away. It was one of the ones that kept throwing the baseball.
We gotta be high to think that drive-throughs are okay.
Yeah, those guys. Of course, they did make a joke of, are there going to be drive-throughs? I'm like, God, they're never going to let that go.
No.
Yeah, they're never going to let that go. We won't get back to that.
I want to go to his
yeah. So it was surprising. You know, he's a veteran. He saw the impacts and everything the positive impacts at the VA with fellow veterans that it has, and I'm one of them too. You know, I've tried to microdose and everything, and yeah, has helped. You know, especially with the stress. You know, it really shows you how to handle stress sometimes. You know, and how to really manage it.
Sure.
You know, versus just react to it, because that's all we know how to do sometimes is just react to the stress, not handle it.
Right. And
so it kind of shows you, no, this is how you handle it. Don't react to it.
It almost puts you outside of the bubble.
Yeah.
Allows you to look back in and say, you know, why are you so stressed out over all this crap?
Yeah, like, what the hell?
Falling into place. You know what I mean? Just time.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants everything to happen right now.
Yeah.
You gotta breathe. You gotta allow it to happen.
Yeah, 100%. But, you know, and hopefully we can get that passed, and, you know, we'll get the insurance. If this lawsuit goes through, we'll get the insurance, because, you know, the insurance, well, not the insurance companies, the state as a cannabis industry, we actually have a pretty good record on suing the state and different companies over stuff like this. That's how we got tax-free cannabis. You know, that's how we got workman comp to pay for your medical cannabis. If you guys didn't know, if you're on workman comp, they have to actually pay for your medical cannabis. It's on the bottom of the website, on the first page. Yeah, It says it on the very bottom. Yeah, so you can look it up. That went to state Supreme Court as well. They ruled that, yes, you have to. So I think that's been happening in steps, and this is the final step. So I think they're going to use all of those different lawsuits to say, well, if it's this and this and this and this, why wouldn't you? You know, the state says this is medicine. Workman comp has to cover it. Right. You know, like, why not? Right. So I think they have a pretty good chance of this going through. Now, I've been keeping track on it. I have a Pacer account, so I can look at federal lawsuits and stuff like that. And I've looked at it. I've looked at the documentation on this, and yeah, it's going to be a doozy. And right now, it looks like Blue Cross Blue Shield is, of course, doing their court thing, and they're trying to hold things up, and you know, they're trying to whatever. And right now, they're dragging it out. And Top Organics, of course, they're putting their rebuttal in, of course, because they try to get the, you know, Blue Cross Blue Shield try to get it dropped or dismissed a few times, and you know, of course, Top Organics like, no, this is the reason why we're going to keep going. So you know, I'm glad they're still fighting. I'm going to keep you guys updated on this, but if this happens, I mean, God, I mean, that will help everybody.
Yes, it would be huge. You're talking millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, no, and it needs to happen.
Yeah,
it's medicine.
I agree, 100%. Well, that's all I have for this this episode. You guys are going to get a couple episodes this week. I'm going to be in Hawaii next week, so I'm filming 3 episodes this week. So next week's episode is going to be filmed Friday. So when it comes out next week, I'm actually going to be chilling on the beach, hopefully fishing.
I'm going to Louisiana in July. Man.
There you go. Hell yeah, buddy. Hell yeah. So thank you so much for joining me, man. It's been great. And I want to thank both sponsors today, Monster House, for allowing me to be in the Consumption Lounge. Thank you so much for your help. And also Turquoise Bloom, thank you so much for your sponsorship and everything. Go ahead and check both places out. And I will see you guys probably in a couple days, because I got a couple episodes to film today or this week. So I will see you guys soon. Shoots.